Hey everyone, welcome to Life Interrupted. I'm your host, Astrid Martinez. Life is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Each week on this podcast, we'll talk about those unexpected turns that shake us, that shape us, and ultimately, if we let them, they can lead us exactly to where we're meant to be. If you've been watching our podcast on YouTube, you know that I was doing it from a set. This is a brand new place that I've moved to, so you'll be seeing me in my backyard often. And I actually feel like this is a nice place. I feel a little bit more grounded here, and maybe you can feel that as well if you are catching us on YouTube. Now, today's guest is my friend Brett. I met him while I was reporting in Philadelphia in 2021. At that time, I didn't know how deeply connected he was to this topic. Once we got into the conversation, into my news report, he told me that he lost both his father and his brother to gun violence 20 years apart. So what do you do when you have so much grief and sorrow? Well, for him, in order to get through that pain, he turned to advocacy, and he intentionally became a teacher because of the energy that he said he felt around kids. That story is going to make you smile. Currently, he's also working on a documentary called Left in the Dark, and it's about those unsolved murders in the city of Philadelphia. He's hoping to bring closure to those families. So today we're talking about it all: grief, sorrow, mental health, and what it looks like to turn that pain into something that helps other people.
Yeah, we met from just the turmoil that was going on in Philly. I'm the board chairman of the Anti-Violence Partnership in Philadelphia. You were covering the gun violence in the city.
And what brought you to that organization? How did you become associated with it?
So I became a board member of the Anti-Violence Partnership from pretty much I was a client. My brother passed away in 2016. You know, I've never experienced grief counseling, therapy, in regard to loss or anything like that. So what happens is when you are the closest of kin to someone who was murdered, the DA and like the authorities, they call you for identifying the deceased and all that stuff. And then once you are that person or the closest of kin, you got to go down to the medical examiner's office, and then you say, yes, that's the person. That's my relative, whatever, and then they'll offer you free services, whether it be grief counseling, victims compensation. So I was like, yeah, let me take advantage of this counseling. Became a client, fell in love with the process, fell in love with my therapist at that time. And then she recommended me because I'm so forthcoming about like my experiences. It's not my first time experiencing a loss to gun violence. My father was also murdered when I was 11. So that time, I didn't go through any type of grief counseling or therapy. Went straight through high school, middle school, college, as nothing happened. But this time around, I'm 31 years old and I have control of my life. It's not my parents or my mom telling me what I should do. So I said, you know what, let me give it a shot.
And maybe much more aware of what you needed at that time to
Exactly.
help you cope with what you were going through. I remember when I interviewed you, you said a word to me that I had not heard of, which was like when there's victims of gun violence, you don't only have the victim, but you're co-victims as well.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about what that means.
Man, it's insane because you're literally interrupted. Like your life, like I remember the last time I saw my brother, it was 76ers game. We met each other on the concourse at halftime, and midnight, I get a phone call from my nephew, who's a firefighter. So he had access to spaces in the hospital to unofficially say, yeah, it's uncle or my brother. And that moment, my whole mindset shifted. I became hypervigilant, paranoid. I grew up in Philly for over 30 years, and I've never felt like I had to look over my shoulder. And I say that because we don't know who did it. So that's another element of it. Like, you don't get no closure, funeral, setting that up, experiencing going down to the medical examiner's office, which isn't the best experience in terms of like having to look and say, yeah, that's my loved one. You know what I mean?
Can't imagine that.
And then the community, gun violence in general is, it's a scary situation for everybody because when you try to get witnesses, the witnesses are afraid to be involved because they're like, what if they come back for me? Then when you're talking to the police, it's like being black in Philadelphia, you had the George Floyd riots, you had historical challenges with civil rights with black people in this country. There's not a good relationship between community and police. So that's another ripple effect of trying to get witnesses, trying to get them to cooperate with the police. And then in terms of family, my brother had a daughter, mother, who now I think she has dementia. And they say trauma can impact or increase the rate of somebody's dementia, especially if it's hereditary.
It advances it.
It advances it, correct. And she actually heard the shots because it happened 2 doors away from the house.
I can't imagine that trauma too.
Exactly.
It's just like it compounds.
So I think it triggered whatever, brain neurosis or whatever goes on in the mind, like the chemistry, the imbalances that happens with dementia. I know it definitely kicked in and advanced that. My niece, I was just with her the other day or yesterday, and we looking at pictures of, where's pictures of my dad and my mom? Like she was 2 when he passed away. So the fact that she don't really have any memories between her mother and her father. He's with this girl, but where's pictures with my mom? I'm like, you know what I mean? How do you answer those questions?
She's still so young too.
She's 10, And it's just a whole ecosystem that you got to deal with.
Even though years later you're still working through that ecosystem, it doesn't get resolved. It doesn't get closure.
No closure, especially because this case is still open. Now, my father's case, on the other hand, it happened in 1996. They caught the individual who killed my father. He was a retired police officer. He did maybe 3 years incarceration, but being that he's a police officer, he was charged with manslaughter. It was very, to me, unfair. I remember hearing stories about, I was too young to go to the court cases, but my older sister, where she was telling me how the family of the culprit was like very rude and disrespectful to our family. Like, he gonna get off anyway. Da-da-da. Like, yeah. My brother was incarcerated during this time. My brother did 20 years in jail prior to, coming home in 2016.
And then being shot.
So yeah, and even at that moment, my father's funeral, he couldn't come because he was incarcerated. He had the option to come, in shackles and with a monitor behind him and all that, but he opted not to come down to see my dad in that state. So crazy story, man. Very, very crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of interruptions.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And the fact that, again, my brother and my father were both murdered in the same way, the same fashion, 20 years apart. And me and being able to, I guess, navigate those situations in 2 different parts of my life it was very interesting to me in terms of like how I become a person, how I grew into being a man. You know?
How has it impacted you as a person and man? Because you're in the family, obviously, you're the male. You have your sister, you have your mom now who's dealing with, as you were saying, cases of dementia, your niece. So as a male now in your family, a black male in Philadelphia where there's still a lot of gun violence going on, and then you're dealing with it personally, you're working on a documentary about it. How has that shaped you? How have you dealt with it? Like what you carry on your shoulders.
You become an advocate. What like springboarded me into this direction, my therapist. With the Anti-Violence Partnership of Philadelphia, she was like, there's a speaking engagement. Every year they do one. It's a candlelight vigil. It's right over there on Arch Street. It's a beautiful church. And all co-victims come and honor their loved ones. And it's a candlelight vigil. And she was like, every year they have speakers to, tell their story. Would you like to do it? And I was like, sure. I've done some acting and not saying that I was acting, telling my story,
speaking in front of people.
Speaking in front of people, I was comfortable with doing that. I'm like, cool. my speech was about trusting the process. And
Hey, that's part of my closing tag. Trust
and
the
you know, that's also the marketing. That was the marketing concept for the 76ers.
Oh, okay.
When they stunk.
Okay.
From like 2010 to like maybe when he drafted Joel Embiid, 2016. That was the turning point from when trust the process became, okay, we want to compete. We're going to try to be champs. We're no longer duping the audience, putting shitty teams on the floor. We're going to try to compete. So 2016 home opener. The last day I saw my brother inspired my speech to be called Trust the Process, because when you're going through grief, it'll be highs and lows, right? And somehow, some way, just like the Sixers, this was my speech.
Philadelphia people love their sports.
Yeah, we love our sports. And that was another way of connecting with the audience and connecting with the people who were also experiencing what I've been experiencing. Because, again, there's a stigma in the Black community when it comes to mental health, when it comes to getting therapy. You pray about it, or you know, go to church, or don't say nothing about it, or you outlet harming somebody else. You know, so I'm speaking to them about going through this process of sometimes it's going to be lows, it's going to be highs. But at the end of the day, you are a survivor, you're to become a champion. You know, a champion in terms of triumphing through this negative experience in your life. And the reception behind that whole concept was inspiring for me.
The feedback was inspiring.
It was so inspiring. The people coming up to me, police officers, families, other advocates that work in, you know, the gun violence space or anti-gun violence space, just pretty much opened up to me and it inspired me to do more. So I went back to my next session after that speech and told my grief counselor, like, she was like, so what do you think? I'm like, I want to do more. And
That's amazing.
She was like, well, you can join a board. I'm like,
Sometimes grief can paralyze people and they can't see beyond, because it's difficult about why is this happening to me. But I think sometimes you're never going to get a why. So sometimes it's like, okay, what can I do with this? And you answer that what?
That was it. You know, when you get that energy from people, from your story, it's a light that goes off, literally. And you want to do more. And it's funny because Philly, we had a high of almost over 500 plus homicides in 2021.
Yeah, that's when I was interviewing you. That's the reason why. It was just incredibly high.
And when you interview and when you see the news and statistics, it's mainly Black men and Black boys who are the victims, the ones who are dying. So you're seeing a lot of women step up to the plate and be the face of these organizations that are advocating for, you know, against gun violence. So, you know, being a man who went through this process and
dealing with mental health,
talking
about it.
Yeah, it's that's another element to, you know, I guess becoming a leader in this space.
Also, something that I've heard when I've interviewed people about gun violence, it's not only does it affect them when somebody that they love is killed, but every time they hear another story in the news, it's like they're reliving their trauma again.
Sometimes, you know, and I ask, you know, I'm doing my documentary and I ask people who I'm interviewing, or just people who have experienced this, do you, you know, feel a sense of, I don't know if envy is the word, or jealousy, especially if your case is like unsolved, when you see cases get solved.
Oh yeah, like, you know, like why can't our case be solved?
And I've heard yes, you know, because there's some resentment.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because you're now still questioning not just the system, but your community members and all that.
How do you cope with that? Because you're doing a documentary about that yourself. That's actually, you know.
How do I cope with that?
Yeah, the fact that, you know, the people that you're interviewing, some cases are solved and your brother's has not been.
You do your best. You pray. You talk to yourself. It's a lot of moments talking to yourself, talking to God. You tell yourself, I tell myself personally, I just pray for the strength and guidance to not be vengeful.
Sometimes you get really angry.
Nah.
Not anymore?
I'm going to tell you why. And this is where I think, memories and moments with people who you lost are important. So I told you my dad was murdered and my brother was incarcerated and my brother was murdered. And I asked him, I said, yo, D, his name's Derek. I said, yo, D, if you ran into the guy that killed Dad, would you have, try to get some revenge? Or he was like, nah. And that moment right there, that kind of put my mindset in the framing of there's no need to retaliate with violence. Because now you're not just, you got your get back. But now they have loved ones.
And you're causing the same thing
The
that happened to
same
you.
thing,
So then that expands. People are able to pull from their wisdom archive if something similar happens again, to the next time maybe bounce back easier. But when it comes to something like this, I don't think there is something that can help you the next time get over it quicker. Or do you have tools now that you can access in your toolbox that maybe you can get to a little quicker?
Yeah. Sometimes, and I think anybody can do this, I think grief is grief. You can never downplay what somebody's experience of loss may be. Losing your job is grief. Losing a loved one is grief. Losing, or breaking up with a partner is grief. It all has different shapes and reactions and forms of it. But there's a test to yourself personally where you gotta literally learn to accept time for yourself. And that's okay. A lot of people, because we are a community.
You mean just kind of be a hermit or or get away?
Take time for yourself. I don't want to call it hermit because, depression doesn't escape. It's inescapable.
Because the reason why I ask is I've had friends too that maybe have had a miscarriage and they've had several, or the IVF didn't work, and this is a different type of trauma, but it's trauma and it's grief, and they don't know sometimes how to move on from it. So from someone like yourself who's a grief counselor, who's experienced the same trauma twice, and it's now you're helping other people, but you're talking about it, so you're constantly in this space. What is a good way to heal, or what are some questions that you shouldn't ask about the universe, or you should ask, because you can get stuck in that trauma?
You can ask all the questions because that's how you get through it. You ask all the questions, and it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. You have to accept that. It's okay to cry. It's okay to vent.
And there's no timeline.
There's no timeline because in my particular situation, I'm not getting my brother or my father back or any other person that I've lost back. So you just stay grounded in the word. I'm becoming more spiritual. And this is a thing where, I'm baptized Catholic, but I didn't really practice. And I was in Catholic school, altar boy, did all that stuff. Sacraments, communion. I did everything that you're supposed to do as a devout Catholic. But as I grew older, life happens and you don't really stay in tune with the church and you start to question things and learn things about it. But I'm still grounded in the word. I have a few favorite passages, and, my mom is because I have a different, when I was talking about my brother's mom, that's my stepmom. But my mom, biological mom, she's like my conduit to just Christ in general.
So I guess you got to find your thing.
Community, you got to find your thing. Find your thing. Seek community.
You're like your holy space.
Seek community.
I always say let people in on your mess.
Let people in. Yeah, let people in. Don't be afraid to tell your story, because it's for you to deny it. You're denying who you are. It shapes you in so many ways. It changes your trajectory. It changes how you behave and how you think. And if you want people to really understand you, you have to be open to being vulnerable. That's another thing too, vulnerability. I learned that. Because sometimes you can really go into your little hermit shell and suppress, and it gets dark. But to me, what brings me out of it is knowing that there's other people going through it too. And
You're not alone. Yeah.
You're not alone. And another thing I do too is I keep a worldly perspective in terms of like, my mom used to say this to me all the time when we complain. Why not you? Mm-hmm. Why me? Why? Instead of saying why me, always think why not me?
Yeah.
Like what makes you bulletproof? What makes you so superior to anybody else's experience? Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're Catholic or Christian, I think you believe that God sacrificed his only son for our sins.
For
so
sure.
like if he went through that, like why not you?
And that's another thing too. I keep things like globally. I'm glad to be able to walk outside.
Same. And when I look at, Gaza or everything else, exactly. I'm like, wow.
It's a blessing to wake up here, to wake up, and again, that's part of your prayer routine and what you're grateful for, living in gratitude.
When you do maybe feel like you're sliding into a depressing day or a dark day, what are your rituals? Like, do you let yourself feel it? Do you acknowledge your feelings, but you're like, okay, this is not me, this is gonna pass?
Listen to music. Mm-hmm. Gospel music.
No reggaeton? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I wanted to add a laughter to it. I'm joking.
Oh, that's crazy. That's funny. No, but I do listen to like gospel music. I listen to hip hop, it's so interesting listening to hip hop, like Meek Mill, Nipsey, Biggie, Pac, because they tell stories that, yes, it can be sometimes like violent, but it's what we see, and but at the same time, it kind of gives me faith that, or some type of comfort that they're telling what we experience, and it makes you feel that because there is some truth in those lyrics. Like you can feel the pain, and
do you feel like you're not going through it alone because it's like similar stories?
And you'd be like, damn, I'm feeling this. And then with gospel was like, it's just praise and worship. It's worship. Never Would Have Made It. It's one of my favorite songs. Smokey Norfolk, I Need You Now. Don't beat me up for this one.
I'm just gonna add a playlist to the bottom.
You should do that. It's a controversial figure, but yay.
Okay, yes, he is controversial. You know how I feel.
But Jesus is King, that album.
Well, the songs, we can't knock his genius and artistry when he first started.
But his Jesus is King, I'm a fan.
Okay. I'm glad to hear your rituals because it's important. I mean, we all go through things in life. We all suffer. It's a universal feeling. I think that's what ties a lot of us humanity, love and suffering, joy and suffering. They're not like antagonists. They go hand in hand. But we all need little rituals to get through things so we don't get stuck. When do you feel, or is there a time where you feel like maybe we're staying in a place too long that's crippling us or paralyzing us?
You start to feel it in your body. Me personally, I'll lose weight. I'm slim anyway, but I'm very lean. Like I go to the gym regularly. I work out regularly, and once I stop doing that, I'm like, oh no, get your ass up.
Because I mean, we say it's your own timeline, heal at whatever pace. But there are some times when you really got to tell yourself to like, all right, I gotta. I can be in sorrow or in pain, but I gotta do other things too. Because
and plus, you still gotta go to work. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you one thing too.
Isn't that crazy? When you go through stuff, but you still have to wake up, cook, feed your pets or your kids, and you still gotta live, and you still gotta do the daily things, and you see life, everybody go on with their daily life. Like I'm sure what people in Gaza are seeing here, outside of their world. This world goes on. It doesn't stop for you, even though your world is crushed.
One thing that really helped me, I teach as well. I'm a teacher, and being around children.
They're so pure.
And so the honesty, the innocence.
The pure joy. Even their talk back.
The imagination.
Yeah, even their slick talk back. It keeps you like... Oh.
It keeps you on your toes. It's an education in itself.
Only reason I know that is because I was a pre-K teacher while I was in college.
Word.
So I know like if I was having a bad day, I would go into class and hear them say some funny thing. And I'm like, it brings me back. And I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yep, and that was intentional because I don't consider myself a traditional education.
So you went into education on purpose?
Intentionally, yep. for the whole vibe of, you know, my nieces and nephews, I love kicking. I don't have any children personally, but when I'm with my nieces and nephews, it's just like, I'm smiling all the time. Like, they crack me up. And that joy in itself, to me, is like, you ever heard the expression where they say if you lose a pet, or if your pet is getting older, if your pet is getting older, you supposed to, it's like best to bring in a younger pet or a puppy.
I heard about that.
Or a kitten to bring them in just to help with the transition and to help them stay younger as well. I believe in that.
You're getting a
It's
sister?
because it's the youthful energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Right now you're working on a documentary, touched on that earlier. What do you want people to learn and get from this documentary, which is about gun violence and the murders of your loved ones?
Well, the documentary is called Left in the Dark, and it's
Okay.
about co-victims of homicide, particularly gun violence, who were essentially left in the dark by the police, community, because their case is unsolved.
The legal system.
The legal system, all that. It touches on how you literally, it feels like everything just shuts off on you. Where can you go? And
There's like no light
no light,
at any corner, any street. You're just not getting any answers.
no answers. And that process in itself, it's been difficult for me because I know my caliber and my standard of doing this documentary, because I'm trained. I went to school for this.
It's a Howard.
I went to Howard University, HU. You're supposed to say you know.
Well, you know, I'm not from an HBCU, evidently.
Yeah, but the whole thing, when I say HU, the
You know?
response, the call is, you know.
You know.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
I'm going to edit this so I don't look like an idiot.
I'm trained, and this is also, to me, another moment for me to, you know, put myself out there as a filmmaker. Although it's very personal and near and dear to me, I still have some integrity in terms of like the art behind filmmaking. So I know when the moment comes, when I'm ready to release it, I'm gonna get press. I'm gonna go for press. I'm gonna go
claiming it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for, you know, the try to get it on as many platforms as possible, and to be recognized for it, because I feel like the work is important. The stories are important. So, you know, meeting the mother, mainly mothers.
So many mothers without sons.
And daughters.
And sisters and daughters.
And daughters,
yeah.
because one of my subjects from Philly,
Well, it's good. Yeah, thank you for letting us know about that statistic as well.
she's,
There's so many family members without their kids, without
Yeah.
their brothers and sisters, cousins.
Yep.
Yeah.
and just going through that whole process with them. And then I have a father who I interviewed, Stanley Crawford. He actually but he actually found the person who killed his son. And then that person who killed his son actually killed 2 other people.
Jeez.
So they got him off the streets. The detective, a retired detective.
You gotta become, in a lot of these, your own detective. So many
Yes.
families do that.
Yes. Yep. That's what it is too. You become your own detective.
Is there a dangerous like loophole that some people go in, like just
What you mean is dangerous?
not dangerous in the sense of physical violence, but like sometimes people can get, is it, you know, I'm just speaking from like interviews that I've done or
Yeah.
movies that I've watched where you can become so
hypervigilant.
or obsessed with wanting to solve something.
Hypervigilant
That it
is
takes
the word.
hypervigilant, okay. And it takes over you. And I don't know if you stop living or that becomes your life now?
It becomes your life.
Okay.
First 2-3 years, maybe even 4, maybe 5. Shit now. I think about my brother all the time. And you become fixated on statistics. You become fixated on the news. I don't even watch the news anymore because it's triggering. But yeah, you become hypervigilant and you become paranoid. You don't trust people. You start looking around. You start becoming a detective.
You go over like stuff from the case over and over and different.
I have the autopsy. I have footage. The thing is, the surveillance footage, but it's not actual like video. It's the audio from a neighbor. They gave me the audio from their living room cameras, and I can hear the shots. But nobody on camera. But yeah, you become a detective.
Okay, so I think we deviated, or it was maybe my fault.
More
But
my fault.
with the documentary, what's the
Yeah.
story you want to tell? What do you want people to get from it?
Oh man, I want these people's cases to get solved. You know, they got the tips hotline on ABC or Action News and all that that you can call. But they also do like vignettes of stories of people whose cases are unsolved. And there is a reward behind that. You know, you're helping people get closure. Like that's the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is to bring the relationships closer together between community and police. So that's why I did interview a retired homicide captain from the Philadelphia Police or retired homicide detective. That's why I did interview the Office of the Victim Advocate, a city council member, because all these different voices and perspectives, they all work hand in hand as a community. So we need each other to make things better.
So far in your research for your documentary, what seems to be the reason why these cases go unsolved? Is it lack of funds? Is it just too much going on and the resources are spread everywhere? Is it laziness, or is it a little bit of everything?
If you would have asked me this question in 2017, 2018, I would say laziness. They don't care about us. 2025, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's not enough detectives in terms of relationship with the crimes that are happening. Detectives work on shifts, day shift, night shift. If your detective was a nighttime detective, you can only communicate with them during the nighttime. My brother was murdered around midnight. So if I want to get in touch with my detective, I have to wait till midnight for them to give me information. And then while I'm waiting for them to give me information, and I try to call them, they might be on the scene of another thing happening, another crime scene.
And so many of that is happening still in Philly.
Exactly.
Not as much as I think as 2021.
No, it's definitely decreased, but it's still happening, and it's still roadblocks. Because now, yeah, my brother was murdered, but now somebody else was murdered.
Times hundreds.
You know what I mean? So it keeps happening, and then they're just inundated with overwhelmed, I should say, with these cases that.
Yeah, both inundated and overwhelmed.
It catches up to them, and it's like, what can you do? So you have to have some empathy for police officers and detectives. Community members, though, they become like distant. Like they see you and they look away.
Whenever you come around to like ask questions or ask if like who's a witness or.
Because people know the community speaks, but they don't want to get involved because it's an inconvenience, and it's a fear factor behind that.
Yeah.
So, I would definitely say that this story is about just getting closure for and bringing awareness to like that process of how difficult it is, and hopefully legislatures and lawmakers can eventually, put more investment, not opposed to like just stopping the crime, but also solving the crimes. Interviewed this guy. He created the Murder Accountability Project, and he's done in Alexandria. He was an investigative reporter, and now he and his journalist friends or colleagues created this website where it documented and recorded all the homicides that happened, unsolved homicides that happened in America since 1965.
Wow.
And there's over 275,000 unsolved homicides in America and counting.
Do you think gun violence is one of our biggest issues in America right now?
Of course.
Yeah. If I say life interrupted, what do those words mean for you?
Man, life interrupted. So I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, founded at Howard University. It's actually the first black fraternity founded on the black campus, Howard University, where I also pledged. One of our cardinal principles is perseverance. And to me, that is the epitome of what my life has been. I stand on that cardinal principle all day, every day, because that's what life is, a bunch of interruptions. And it's about how you persevere through each one of those experiences and how you push through and how do you continue to be a father, be a brother, be a son, be a friend, and
Be there for yourself.
Yourself, all that. So yeah, perseverance is a huge word of mine. And then I also learned to growth. From growing through perseverance and your challenges, you got to be committed. Commitment was my word for 2025. So you got to be committed to, your growth, your losses, and growing from your losses. You got to be committed to a routine, being more disciplined, being committed to being a better person, a better friend, a better everything to yourself. So commitment is very, very important to me.
One last question. In Black and brown communities, we were saying earlier how mental health has a stigma or a taboo. What would you say to any Black male out there who might have found themselves in a similar position about seeking help?
It's a lot of resources out there. You're not alone. If you have experienced gun violence and you are a co-victim of gun violence, the federal government, they have the Victims of Crime Act, which gives funding to victims and co-victims of violence. Every state has it. So you can get victims compensation, which will in return pay for any hospital costs, mental health bills, if you had to take off of work, funeral expenses, hospital bills, up to a certain amount. I want to say $10,000. But I may be mistaken, it may have changed. But there are resources in that way from the government. There are community groups. There's me, you can reach out to me. I can point you to the right direction in terms of what could help you grow through that experience. Education, make sure that you finish high school. Seek out a trade after high school, a university if, you want to go that route. But there are options to become better. Volunteer your time, pick up a hobby, put yourself out there. The world is so much bigger than your neighborhood and your community. Travel, seek love, give love, and just be true to yourself, Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zones. And again, education to me is very important. Make sure you seek knowledge. So
I love that. If you guys really felt that this episode resonated with you, please share it, please like it, and make sure that you subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm. Also, if you're new to this channel, you know that this is my baby, Panella, and this is my parents' baby, Chocolate, right? Say hi, guys. They'll be here hopefully with me every week if they're up to it. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Make sure that you catch Brett's documentary, Left in the Dark, when it comes out. And also keep in mind, trust the process and embrace the beauty in chaos.